ESPN NFL draft analyst and college football analyst, Todd McShay. How have you been, Todd?
Really good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I know you're on the move, and I appreciate you calling in right here. Where are you headed? Where are you headed to right now?
Headed to Athens, Georgia.
Okay,
That's
man.
an easy trip. Anytime you can have one flight and make a quick drive over, then that's good.
Okay, so I guess before we get to the meat of what I want to talk about, you're heading to Athens, Georgia. What did you make of the college football playoff first top four and the rest of it, Todd? What do you think there, brother?
I thought it was pretty fair. I probably would have put LSU over Ohio State, but who cares at this point? We got enough time. I think LSU's just had to go through probably a tougher run. Tougher schedule, and Ohio State has been dominant in every game, but probably, to my viewing, has not played the same level of competition. But I think they got the right four in there, and then kind of stacked it properly after that. No major issues.
Okay, because obviously, these teams are going to play each other in short order, Ohio State and Penn State, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and then LSU and Alabama coming up in a couple of days. Is this like the Super Bowl for prospecting in the NFL, LSU and Alabama?
It's the first tape I'm going to watch, right? Like when the season's over and I sit down and say, all right, how am I going to get started on evaluating up to 400 prospects? That's a pretty good game to start on. I've got 24 players right now that have draftable grades, and there may be more by the time we get there. Some underclassmen maybe are flying under the radar. So 24 in a single game is rare. Anytime you get over about 12, 13, that range, you're talking about one of the better prospect games in the country, and this is going to be special.
Well, looking at what you put up on the ESPN family of internets the day before Halloween, you've got no fewer than 5 players in your top 15 playing in this game. Walk me through who's the top prospects that you're seeing on Saturday in this game.
Obviously the quarterbacks. Tua Tagovailoa is the most interesting, I think, in the game because of the health issues, and then going up against this defense. So how is he going to perform? How healthy is he? And then on the perimeter, what are the matchups going to be? And, Jerry Jeudy, who I think is one of the best 5 players in the country and should be the first wide receiver off the board. How's LSU going to try to defend him? And knowing that it's not just Jeudy, but it's Henry Ruggs who's going to run a 4.29 or something like that at the combine when you're announcing it. And going down the list, Devontae Smith, another wide receiver, who I've got a 3rd-round grade on, and he's the 3rd best receiver for this team. So how do you match up against these guys? What do you do defensively if you're LSU? And for Tua specifically, how ready is he to go, and can he hold up for 4 quarters? LSU's obviously going to try to get after him. And then on the flip side, you've got Joe Burrow, who's probably the most interesting story of the year in college football. I can honestly say this. We've seen Wentz come out of kind of small school and not know much about him. I can never remember a player playing at a big-time NFL pipeline school 1 year to the next, going from what I thought was maybe a 7th-rounder, a draftable free agent, bring him into camp, to legitimately might be a first-round pick. And that's what Joe Burrow has done. So to me, the storylines are just as fun as the anticipation of the prospects in this game.
Todd McShay here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's dig in on the quarterbacks. Is this a possibility? Certainly, when we're all at the combine next March, late February, early March, that we are talking about this game and what it means to be the first overall drafted quarterback in this draft. Will this game have something to do with that, do you think?
I think it could. Yeah, I think it could. I had to think about it for a second, but it absolutely could. You never evaluate any player, especially a quarterback, off of one game. But you only get a handful of games throughout a quarterback's career, typically, where you can go and it's close to apples in terms of what you're going to see in the NFL. And these are the types of games. Obviously, a national championship, semifinals, SEC championship game, but regular season game, this is as close as you can have to that comparison that when you look to what he's going to be in the NFL. So I think absolutely. I think you've got a race between Tua and Joe, and then Justin Herbert from Oregon, who's playing really well. Jacob Eason, who was at Georgia with Jake Fromm, and Fromm's another guy. Both of those guys, I think, will likely be in the upcoming NFL draft. And Fromm is not as talented as Eason, but has had a better career and sent Eason packing back to Washington to go play. So, and then Jordan Love, a lot of guys I talk to who people don't really know about coming out of Utah State, but a lot of scouts in the league really like this guy's upside. So right there, that's 6 quarterbacks with, I'm not saying they're all going to be first rounders, but in some people's minds in the league, they have a first-round grade on them. So that makes it interesting. And then we haven't even got into like Jalen Hurts and Nate Stanley and those other quarterbacks. But 6 quarterbacks having a chance to be in the first round that's pretty good.
And then, Tua, his durability, is that going to be the issue? Because, again, the Dolphins, we've all been saying, and I'm including myself, that
right.
The Dolphins have flat out tanked for Tua. Tua had the Dolphins, from what I've heard and what I've been told, that Tua had the Dolphins at hello when he looked off the Georgia safety and beat Georgia in the national championship game. That was it. That he had them at hello.
That was one of the great all-time throws.
Okay,
yep.
Right. So what is currently going into this game, looking over the steering wheel, the Tua evaluation, Todd McShay?
He's one of the best deep passers I've ever evaluated. Tua is one of the more accurate overall passers I've ever evaluated. He has exceptional anticipation and timing. He's really naturally instinctive. He kind of feels things that most other young quarterbacks don't. I think he can read things faster, which is hard. I know that sounds counterintuitive. He senses things and feels it, but I think in terms of pure progressions, like, okay, the safety's rolling over, now I need to go to my second progression. I think he can improve in that area, and a lot of guys do, from their second to third to fourth year of playing at a big-time level. Staying healthy, we worry about that with everyone, but size is no longer that big of a deal in the NFL. It really isn't. I mean, and you can say, yeah, well, this guy hasn't been healthy, but Kyler's coming on, and it's the list of quarterbacks that are under 6'2" that are having success is long enough that you just don't worry about a guy like Tua. With that, it's just more about the durability and can he hang in there, and then can he perform when he's dinged up? That's the other part. I think that's one area that I would have concern with right now, just based off of watching him. And the last 2 games I've had him live, he's gotten injured. So that's probably the number one thing. But from a passing standpoint, he's special. He's not like very other any guys that I've ever really watched. He just has a feel for it and touch and knows how to layer the ball in and knows the anticipation aspect of it and where guys should be versus where they are. And it's fun to watch. He's a really special player.
He is, and then the fact that he's coming off of that ankle surgery, playing in this game against LSU, whole country watching, 2 versus 3 in terms of the college football playoff rankings. It just adds not just to the SEC drama, but to the drama that we're all talking about for the draft. Todd McShay here on the Rich Eisen Show. Then we look at your top prospects, and I can't blame you in a way. I mean, Chase Young, he's so stupidly good. He's so amazingly good. As I've mentioned before, and I'll say here to you, Todd, I don't need the play-by-play group and analyst to identify him pre-snap with a circle or an arrow. Like I can see him. Like he's that good. He jumps off a screen like that. Do you think there are teams out there that would take him over a quarterback, even if they need one? What do you think? Is he that good? Is he that good?
He's that good where you would at least consider it. Yeah, he's that good. I mean, when you watch, he's like Jadeveon, like Myles Garrett, those guys. When just when you're watching the tape, it's so obvious how good he is. And I love the Bosa brothers. I did. And I actually stood on the table, and when people were saying, well, the 40 time's not good and the shuttles and all this, I was all in on Nick and Joey Bosa. But this guy's different. You know, he's got a lot of the mechanics that make the Bosas special, but he's got elite athleticism and quickness. So to answer your question, if it comes down to a Tua versus Chase Young and the team is desperate for a quarterback, you know the answer. They're going to go quarterback.
Right.
But he's so good that he actually makes you – I think he would split a room or at least have a few guys in the room saying, you know what, are you sure? Should we make this decision? And that says a lot, because if it's anything other than a quarterback, then it speaks to the level of talent.
Now, I mean, we have so many months to go, which makes this – but this is fun. This is fun. So let me go down this wormhole a little bit more with you, Todd McShay. So let's say the Jets get first overall pick, because they sure can. I mean, as we're sitting here right now, Cincinnati would have him. But let's go Jets. You're Joe Douglas, all right? And you've got the first overall pick. You can add Chase Young right here, right now, and say, I've got Darnold, I got my guy. Or do you trade that first overall pick for a ton of picks because you know somebody is so desperate for either Young because they have their quarterback, or they're desperate for Tua, like, say, the team in the AFC East, and you could hold the Dolphins up from maybe every damn draft pick that they have amassed in order to try and get Tua? What do you do if you're Joe Douglas based on what you're seeing from the Jets right now?
First of all, you're a jerk because you know I'm good friends with Joe. And I went to college with him and played football with him.
You and Daniel, you all are. You all are. And everybody loves this guy.
But I went to school with him. I played with him.
I'm sorry, but,
honestly, it's such a cop-out answer. I'm not doing it because it's Joe. Joe knows I say what I say. Mm-hmm. It would have to be a damn good offer. It would have to be multiple players to walk away from a guy like Chase, because now if you have a quarterback, and I still believe in Sam, I think he's going to be a really good quarterback if you can continue to surround people around him. But you have a quarterback and then potentially one of the best pass rushers in the league in a couple of years. Now you got something. It's the two most important positions. Now you get, I don't know, move down, you get a 10th overall pick, another first-round pick, and a second or third down the line. Yeah, I consider it. Listen, I'm going to pick up the phone if they want to talk about Le'Veon Bell. I'm going to pick up the phone if they want to talk about Jamal Adams. Every single GM in the NFL would. Doesn't mean you're trying to make the deal. And that is definitely me speaking for Joe and protecting my guy.
Right.
But you got to listen to everything. But at the end of the day, it would have to be a significant offer to pass on a Chase Young, because I think he's got a chance to be really, really special.
So then let's get off Joe Douglas and the Jets and say you're the Bengals, and Ryan Finley does not win a game, and they go the hard 0-16, and they earn that first overall pick, and they could, however, get Tua or Chase Young.
Take Tua.
You didn't even stutter. Yeah,
take Tua.
He's that special.
New York, the Jets have Sam. So
yeah, I know that,
the
Todd.
only way you win in this league is with a quarterback. You know that better than anyone. So I think as much as you look at Chase Young and as special as he is, and your grade might be a touch higher on him than Tua or any of the other quarterbacks, if you got a chance to get one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, and that's what I think Tua can be eventually, I think that's the route you always have to go.
Man, I got to tell you, Todd, I appreciate you saying Sam's still the guy in New York, and I sure hope he is. But, to say he's regressing is an insult to the word regressing. That chest pass that he flipped towards the Dolphins defense this past week, the staring at the ball that just got snapped past him as it sat in the end zone and he didn't move is just was stunning to me. That's not the kid that they drafted at all. That's not the kid that bounced back from a pick six as his first professional throw. So that's trouble as far as I think, seeing that. And I place it in your hands as an evaluator too.
And you know what? It's real. Like that. you can be the most talented quarterback in the world, and you can have all the tools, and you can be mentally tough. But if you are in a brutal situation, think about anything, any career, anything you're doing. If you're surrounded by negativity, people constantly questioning how you're performing, and a supporting cast that's just not up to par and doesn't give you a chance to win every day you go to work, it's hard to overcome that. And so, it will take resolve, and we're going to find out. Mm-hmm. We're going to find out in the next year or so if Sam's got that. I thought from day one, and I still think he does. I really have always believed in this young man because I think he can handle it. But what he's up against is a storm that very few people in the world are capable of fighting through. So we're going to find out.
Todd, always love our chats, man. Have a great, safe trip down to Athens, and we'll chat with you. Bud. We'll chat with you in the next couple weeks. I enjoyed it. Thanks.
All right, Rich.
Take care, buddy.
All right, take care.
You got it. It's Todd McShay at McShay13 on both Twitter and Instagram.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.